Dear Mr. Ryter, have you been doing anything interesting lately? I would really like to hear about it, but you must write it all in shorthand for me, and then I will enjoy reading it even more. I always like to hear how my students and shorthand devotees are getting on. Best wishes, Mr. Pitman. Dear Mr. Pitman, I am sorry I have not written for a while, but I have been extremely busy. I was going to tell you all the interesting things I have done and seen over the last few months, but there really is no time at the moment to go through my diary and compose a summary of activities. It does take some time to get it all together, and unfortunately I have had to leave all that until later and concentrate on my shorthand studies. I hope you are able to excuse this lack of news from my neck of the woods. I have taken to getting up earlier so that I can do some extra shorthand practice before everyone else is out of bed. While waiting for the breakfast toast to pop up and the kettle to boil, I can usually fill up 2 pages of the facility drill book. This is quite an easy task, as the outlines are already there, and I don't have to struggle to remember them, although there is still the work of reading each sentence before I copy it out. But that is becoming much easier. Whilst eating breakfast, I read through the next few pages in advance. I have set myself the task of writing another 2 pages before I wash up the breakfast things, and this really makes me get a move on. The clock seems to whiz round so fast, and before I know it, it is time to dash out of the door and be on my way. Before I leave the house, I check that I have all my shorthand material in my bag to keep me going throughout the day. I have to take the bus and train, and there is often a lot of waiting around, especially with train delays, so that is my chance to read through yesterday's practice dictations, or maybe revise some points of theory in the book, so that I don't repeat past mistakes. This really makes the waiting time fly past, and soon my train is pulling in to the station. I always try to get a seat in the carriage at the far end, where it is quieter and less crowded, and I can get on with my shorthand reading without any puzzled looks from passengers. During the day, there is not much opportunity to do any more practice, but I am glad to report that I can now take down all my telephone conversations in shorthand and any other notes that I have to take at meetings and interviews, although this will go better when I get my speed up a bit more. In my lunch break, I like to sit in the park and read the newspaper, but sometimes I feel that there is nothing newsworthy to bother myself about, so I just write over the headlines in shorthand with a red biro. After work, I have to walk down the high street to the station, and I often go into the store to see if there are any bargains with the shorthand pads. I keep the more expensive smooth ones for dictation practice and taking notes of real meetings, so I need to keep a large supply of the cheaper ones for home practice. I can get through the ink in 2 shorthand pens during a busy day at work, and in the evenings I wash them out before refilling. But if I don't have time for that straight away, I just refill with water so that they flush out cleanly later on. I did once have a go at writing with that water, and was very surprised that I could actually see the light blue outlines quite well. So that is a good thing to know if the ink runs out during the working day. Evenings are taken up with family time, but just before bedtime I do spend half an hour or so looking up outlines, as it is not really practical to carry a big dictionary around during the day. I always write the correct outlines in a list down the margin of a blank pad, so they can be practised on the train, which means I don't have to look them up again and again, something I have learned the hard way not to do. It is such a waste of time to repeat my efforts. What with my working day and all the other household and family activities, I have had to fit the shorthand into all the spare moments I can find. They are definitely there, but in lots of short segments. But, as you know, this all adds up to a reasonable amount of practice time, with the advantage of spreading out the effort and avoiding fatigue. I think you might have guessed that I have a secret motive behind all this extra attention to my shorthand studies, and that is because I know there is a job opportunity coming up soon, and I believe my shorthand skills will put me ahead of the other applicants. If I am successful in my application, I will certainly write and let you know. So, once again, my apologies for not having much to report, and I hope that next time I will have some good news to tell you. Yours most sincerely, Mr. Ryter.